How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Buns Thighs Podcast, hosted by Tim and Duncan. This is a personal trainer and company production. Welcome to the show and enjoy. If you were asked what is the best way to lose fat before you met me, what would your answer be?
Before I met you, I believe I was not only misguided, I really don't think I knew much of anything about fitness. Like I had basic ideas, but all of that had been based in kind of like trends or fad diets or things like that. So how to lose fat, I don't know. I probably would have said, don't eat fatty foods. And I knew that sugar wasn't good, like sugar turns into fat or something like that. So that would have been my approach on the diet end. But as far as exercise goes, I don't know. I didn't really lift weights. I almost exclusively did cardio. But the one thing that I'd heard about that was that there was like a heart rate range where if your heart rate is within such and such, then that means you're in the fat burn zone. But it also depends on your size and metabolism. I knew nothing. I had a lot of ideas, none of them coalesced, and I didn't know how to make anything work. But I knew that by doing cardio, I shrank, like I got thinner. So that was my approach to burning fat. I'll just keep running.
And if you were asked the same question now, so I am asking you now, what do you think the best way to lose fat is?
Oh, I don't like you. No, it's because I now feel like everything is starting to coalesce, my understandings, but I still don't know if I could give too much accuracy. But here's what I will say is muscle. Need to have muscle. That is one thing that I have learned greatly is like, yeah, I can keep running the pounds off, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm losing fat or burning fat. So that's kind of one thing. And I think the approach to diet, actually, I'm going to fire that right back at you because one of the things that you started me out with that was just mind-boggling to me was an incredibly high protein diet, which I had never done before. I had maybe tried to reduce my carbohydrate intake, or at least the starchy things. So definitely no cake and no pastas and nothing white. That's basically what I was taught. So I had known to reduce those things, but until I started working with you and you were saying like, you should be trying to get in, I'm sure you had lots of different reasons. So maybe you can explain some of those so that people listening don't just say, oh, I should do that. Because I think it also has to be maybe a little bit personally tailored or at least adaptive to where you're currently at. But long story short, I had never eaten so much protein in my life. And there was a time at which I thought, probably a couple months ago, like, are you sure, Tim? Like, I think I'm eating more than I've ever consumed in my entire life. And you're telling me that this is going to somehow result in a better body where
in me losing weight.
Yep. But strangely maybe not strangely. It was strange to me. It's not strange to you. But that's what happened. Like I would, we have a goal shirt. It's like the shirt that I wear when I want to see what my progress is like, because when you're looking at yourself shirtless in the mirror, it's kind of hard to tell. You're like, I think I'm making progress, but you put the shirt on that didn't fit 3 months ago and you're like, holy shit, it's roomy now. Then that was kind of my indicator that I'm eating more than ever before, but the shirt fits and now there's room. And this is insane to me because I'm consuming so much, but it's like the right foods that are fueling my body in the right way to help me burn fat. So maybe you can clean that up a little bit and say the smart people things in there.
Well, so when it comes to how much protein you were eating, right? Let's first talk about that. And you were saying that it is tailored to, like in the individual. It is. The easiest way to really tailor it towards you is just measure yourself on like a Renfo scale, something that measures your body fat percentage. Multiply that by your actual body weight. That'll tell you how much fat you have, and then subtract that from your body, and that's how many grams of protein you should have a day. Now, the reason why eating so much has resulted in you losing fat is that when you are, I'm not the type of trainer that says, okay, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you should not do this. I try to give you goals and things that you should obtain, and if you do obtain those, you're not going to have room for anything else. So the amount of red meat is one of the most nutrient dense protein or nutrient dense substances known to man. Red meat, like carnivores, lives strictly off of meat. They have secondary energy source. They have secondary nutrition, all jam packed inside muscle. And so when you eat that, you're actually gaining a lot of vitamins and minerals that you wouldn't really get on a plant-based diet. There's a lot of things, especially amino acids, that you're going to get in order to build that muscle, in order to raise your metabolism, in order to lose fat. So just the protein eating alone is a giant step towards anyone with the goal of losing fat. Let's say, for example, a 225-pound man, and they're chunky, right? Let's say that they're 30% body fat. Okay, you take 0.3 times 228, take that result and minus 228, and then eat that much in grams of protein. And then that alone is actually going to make you eat less, because protein is the most satiating, meaning it makes you full faster. It's the most satiating substance out of the carbs, fat, and protein. Protein is the most satiating. You'll get full off of a very small amount of food that is high in protein, because it is so filling. Carbs are actually designed the opposite. Carbs are not the enemy, by the way. Let's not get on that direction. Carbs are not the enemy, but carbs are also designed, especially processed carbs, processed foods, to make you as hungry as possible. So like it's not designed to fill you up. It's designed for you to eat actually more, so you can store energy in the body. You can't store protein, and that's why it is so satiating, because the body recognizes it and it's like, all right, well, it's here. Are we using it? No? Okay, all right, well, crap it out. That's basically how your body handles protein. So can you tell me about your experience with eating so much and losing weight? Where you're worried about it, where there's like a middle ground, and then now.
So a couple things. Firstly, I want to backtrack to when what kind of scale is that? The kind where it like tells you your body composition?
So I use a Renfo scale. It's not the most accurate, but it's consistently inaccurate. So it's going to always be like, for example, 8.22222 off. And so whatever your fat percentage is when you're on there, it's probably not your fat percentage, but you'll be able to know if it goes up or down.
Okay.
It's called a Renfo scale, RENPHO. And it syncs to your app, Renfo app, and it tells you your body fat percentage. It's like $26 on Amazon. We're not sponsored by that, but you know, holla.
So initially back in December, which I think we kind of barely started. I think my official tenure with you started in January, but I had like a session or two with you in December. I was doing some traveling, and that's why I think we decided to wait. But I remember I went to a gym in Albuquerque. That's where I'm from, for all of the viewers. Anyway, I'd gone back home to Albuquerque, and I went to a gym that had one of those, and it had all the sensors, and I grabbed a hold of everything, and I had to be barefoot and stuck my feet on that. And the numbers came back, and I was like, I think literally like 33% body fat. And I was horrified. I was horrified. And I was like super depressed after that, simply because I thought, like, I'm literally 2/3 of a person. A third of it is fat, and the rest is, actual flesh and blood. And I know that's not actually how that works. Like, you need a little bit of body fat, that type thing. But it still was sobering to see the numbers that high. And so that sucked. But secondly, where was I going with that? So yeah, seeing the numbers, that really sucked. But one of the things that made me, I'm going to backtrack and kind of bring it back around. But one of these days I'll tell the full story on here about how I even kind of came to get a personal trainer, but we'll skip all of that and come to, I'd set up an appointment with you, and you were the first person that I was going to meet with in town in Colorado Springs. And it was a Zoom meeting, and the type of stuff that you were just saying about all that, you were there. That is pretty much why I canceled all of my other consultations with other people, because I thought, holy crap, this guy knows his stuff. So, and I think that goes hand in hand with when I saw the numbers and saw, wow, I am a third fat. I was a little bit depressed about that for a while, but I was talking with you kind of hand in hand through all of this. And what I had realized was, okay, me in my wisdom and all of the various things that I had thought about losing weight or burning fat or all of that, that has gotten me into this position where I am not in good shape. But this guy, you, Tim, you know your stuff. So really all I need to do is listen, be a good student. And even if I do have maybe not skepticism, but because I think skepticism kind of has an attitude along with it, like, hey, you need to prove yourself to me. And you had already proved yourself to me through just the depth of your knowledge. But I think there was still a little bit of hesitation on my part because it was so new. I had never eaten the way that you were telling me that I should be eating. But I knew that you had the results for yourself because I know that you had gone through a fitness journey where you weighed quite a bit more than you do now and had to lose that. And through your other clientele, through just your base knowledge. So I think that's what gave me the confidence to say, okay, what you're telling me does not make sense to me. I I have no clue how I'm going to consume this much
Sidebar real
protein
quick.
any given day.
Sidebar real quick. It is a really hard sell to tell somebody that's coming to me, it's never met me before. They're like, oh yeah, I eat so much and I'm overweight and I really want to lose fat and usually it's 30 pounds. I need to lose 30 pounds. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I need you to eat more. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, are you crazy? Like, get out of here.
But I think one of my previous experiences that I don't know how much I've even talked with you about it, let alone on the podcast, because we're just starting out. But one of my previous experiences was that when I was about 20, maybe 21, I did lose a lot of weight. And it all started because I went on a cruise with my family and I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to take my shirt off. But that was kind of the catalyst for me to really start trying to lose weight. And what did I do? I started eating half what I ate before. I didn't really change my diet. I didn't really cut things out or implement this, but I just ate half and I started running. And so I think I bring this up because I had already lost a lot of weight. Technically, I had lost 90 pounds, but we're not going to get there. I'll get there another time. Anyway, I had lost a lot of weight. But what I had realized in recent years, kind of gaining most of it back, was okay, I may have lost like pounds, but that does not mean necessarily that I was improving my health. So I think kind of to your point about people being taken aback when you say things like you need to eat more. They're like, what? No, I need to cut down on my calories. For me personally, I had already tried it one way and gone, well, the pounds came off, but nothing else about my health improved. And I think that was kind of the hopeful, I was going to say humility, but I always think it's a little weird when people brag about their humility. It's like, are you really humble if you have to
I
brag
am
about it?
the
But I do think
most humble in this entire world.
but I do think that it was a little bit of humility on my part to say, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, and you do. So you tell me to do something, even if it runs a little contrary to what I have previously come to understand about health and fitness, then I will do it. And the more that I followed kind of the path that you were laying out for me, and the more that I saw results from it, that definitely empowered me to say, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. Now,
so, real
yeah,
quick
go.
for our listeners, the path that he's talking about is really simple, and I'm gonna create like a kind of like a timeline up in the air right here. So first things first, let's say you're overweight and you're wanting to lose weight. You don't know where to go. First, you prioritize protein and do not eat carbs. Okay, so don't cut out carbs. You never want to cut out a macro. If there is a nutritionist or a doctor telling you, yeah, you should probably cut out your carbs to lose weight, that's not the avenue. What you need to do is build muscle. Now, and especially women as well. There is a lot of. I have a client right now. She was about 145 pounds, and she is now 130. Lost 15 pounds, but she gained weight initially through gaining muscle, but then her metabolism rose. This is the second avenue. First avenue is gain muscle. Second avenue is because of gaining muscle, your metabolism has heightened. So you are worth more calorically. You are a more expensive date every single day. So let's say instead of where she was at, which was probably 1,100 calories a day burning as her basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate meaning her baseline, what she costs to exist in a coma. Just have her body matter in space is cells that burn energy. So that's her basal metabolic rate, was probably around 1,100. It's now, she eats around 1,900 calories and she's still in a deficit. So she's probably in the 2,100 range. Her basal metabolic rate has gone up about probably 600. And then also on top of that, her routine has gone up through working out, because when you work out and lift for another 3 days, you're building muscle, and that costs calories on top of that. So it's like making an investment for 3 days, and then over that 3 days, it's worth about 1,000 calories for that 1 hour. Instead of running off 300 calories in that 1 hour, you do a full body workout, and that's about 1,000 calories right there over a span of 3 days due to that 1 hour. That's a way more valuable hour than just going for a jog or going on the treadmill for an hour. So first one, build muscle. Second one, prioritize on lifting up your metabolism. And building muscle is not the only way to build your metabolism. Eating more, you actually build your metabolism. Prioritizing higher protein, that actually builds your metabolism. Prioritizing sleep, so getting a better sleep routine, getting more sleep. I know me and Duncan talk about this almost weekly. And
I got a good night's sleep last night, by the way.
Nice.
So that probably helped today.
And a couple other things. Lifting full body. So instead of just prioritizing just bicep curls or tricep extensions, like I see a lot of the high schoolers at the gym do, you want to do full body lifts like squat, deadlift, bench press, row, compound big lifts, weighted cable sit-ups where you're lying down and you're pulling a cable as hard as you can and doing like 5 of them instead, or 3 to 5 of them, where it's a lot of your body working together. More muscle together on the same lift equals higher testosterone, higher metabolism, even for females. So women should not shy away from this kind of lifting. It's going, you will not turn into a Russian Helga or wake up one day and be like, like I'm massive, I'm a man. It's not going to happen, I promise. And I'm not saying that condescendingly. I've met many women who, when I approach them with this strategy, where it's eating more protein, lifting heavy things, there's like, I don't want to get manly and bulky. I was like, ma'am, all due respect, you have no idea how hard female competitive bodybuilders work to look like that. And I promise you, I can tell you right now, you don't have the genes for it. And so you will never be in that situation. And if you did have the genes for it, that means that once you got to the spot that you wanted and you didn't want to go further, you just stop. You just go on maintenance mode. It's a really good problem to have. But kind of went on a tangent there. So muscle,
you mind if I tail off of that?
Higher metabolism. Muscle, higher metabolism, and then every now and then a very high caloric burn sidebar. So 2 weeks of just hitting it, cardio, drop your food intake, going into a deficit. So it's like a roller coaster. You tick 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 tick, go down and then come up, and then the very end is at the bottom. That's actually that is the Krabby Patty formula. That's the secret formula right there. Is bring up your metabolism, and then every now and then test it with a high cardio sidebar, or you can just change your reps. You don't, if you're in a hurry, you can use those sidebars, or you can just explore another avenue of lifting. You can just keep bouncing around your back. You can keep bouncing around to different types of lifting and master the skill of lifting, because there are so many different ways of lifting. It's a lot to explore. Go ahead, Duncan.
So I wanted to kind of tail off of your tangent, although I'm trying to remember what exactly I was going to say. So I'm just going to start talking and see if I get back on track.
That's the way to do it.
It has something to do with Jose. Jose was back in Albuquerque, just an extra random sidebar that has nothing to do with fitness. Get this foolishness. When I lived in Albuquerque, I owned a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Mortgage was $950 a month. That makes me cry, considering now that I live here, and I'm like,
That's not bad.
$950? No, that's amazing.
That's
why
amazing.
I don't think I could find anything like that here. Anyway, unless it was like a Cracker Jack box.
I'm looking at a mortgage of like an average of like $2,100 right now.
Oh, wow.
Jesus,
but anyway,
let me tell you about that afterwards. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I bring that up because I had a tenant. So when quarantine happened, and I kind of had this weird phase where I threw a bunch of stuff away or burned it. I had a lot of bonfires. My neighbors probably thought I was crazy. They might have been a little bit right. But essentially, I suddenly had like a lot of extra room. So I thought, I might as well rent out a room. And I rented a room to this guy named Jose. And I had met him because I was at Planet Fitness back in like 2019. And he came up and was saying, he worked there, and he was saying like, man, you're going to hurt yourself doing lunges like that. Let me show you a different way. And I was so stuck up at the time. I was like, no, I know how to do lunges, man. Like, go away. I don't know. I sounded like a California surfer dude, but I did let back then apparently. And strangely through that, he actually was persistent and said, nah, like he went away and then saw me continuing to do it. And he was like, no, let me help you with that. And I sucked it up. I let him show me some stuff, and I tried them his way, and it actually felt better. It didn't strain as much in certain areas. So that actually began, maybe not a friendship necessarily, but like an acquaintanceship at least. So yada, yada, yada. Long story short, he does eventually move in. He is my tenant. And there were times that we would like just go out to dinner. Like, hey man, it's a Friday night. I don't have anything planned. We would always go on like these taco truck runs because Albuquerque and Mexican food. That's another topic also, how Colorado Springs, we'll get there later, their understanding of Mexican food is very inadequate. But we would go on these like taco truck runs, and we would hit up a couple different taco trucks. And I bring this up because, or maybe we'd go to like a little hole in the wall Mexican place. I bring this up because I remember looking at the volume of food that this guy could eat, and he was trim, and oh my gosh, he was trim. He was buff, even like he had a 6-pack. And I remember just looking like, how in the world do you even eat that much?
Right. Like, where are you putting it? Like, how are you not?
Where are you putting it?
350 pounds but you have abs. Yeah.
Like I don't even eat half of what he was eating, and I was like getting either full or being like, I should stop, or that type thing. So that I remember why I brought that up, because you were talking about the one client that you had who like right now is like, she's what, like 145 pounds, and she's eating like, or consuming,
I think now she's around 130.
Holy mother. But she's doing like 1900 calories. And when I was like focused on counting calories, because that's another thing you do when you don't know much about fitness. So I just, I can eat this. It's a truffle. But it like, I don't get to eat dinner, that type of thing. You make bargains like that. So when I was in that phase, I was still trying to keep it under like 1800 calories, or actually, no, I was trying to keep it under like 1200, which was like really, really difficult. And then I look at this guy who is a foot shorter and a stick and has abs and is like in perfect shape. And I'm just like, how in the world are you able to eat this much? So that was actually one thing that you were talking to me about before I had technically signed on as your client. And I'm going to get the terminology wrong. So again, you can help me clean that up later. But essentially, you would set, what's the term? Like where your metabolism is such that you're burning a lot? Like you said it, but I can't remember the term.
Wait, your metabolism is a lot. Oh, you're in a deficit?
Not that you're in a deficit. It's, we'll figure the term out later. Essentially like your capacity or the amount that you burn in any given.
Your basal metabolic rate.
That's what you had been talking to me about. Like, if we, build muscle and you're doing strength and all of these types of things, then you're probably going to be able to eat a heck of a lot more because your body's going to be using it appropriately, and you're not going to have to play the counting calories game because you're going to need to give yourself a lot more fuel. And I thought, I want that. Because I was getting so tired.
Like, you said eat more? Yeah. Let's go.
It gets maddening when you're like out at dinner and you're like, uh-oh, it's an Italian place and they brought a bread basket. And now I have to say no. And again, not to say like, oh yes, shovel all the bread down. But on the same token, the idea of your body being structured in such a way and you creating that structure in such a way that you do burn more, that was, again, mind-boggling to me. And that was also something very attractive to me.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you eat more now?
Probably. It's been a few months since I've kind of been on this, so I try to remember what I was eating back then. You know what? I'll say yes, because I was logging my breakfast this morning, and it was something like, I don't know, like 600 or 700 calories or something like that. And back in the day, that would have been horrifying to me. I would have been like, no, I have to keep it at 300 because otherwise I won't be able to have meals later on in the day. So literally, like for breakfast, I would eat like a protein bar and it was 180 calories. And maybe if I was getting really edgy, I would do like 2 eggs with Pam, because Pam was technically calorie free, but it doesn't stick and all that good stuff. So yeah, I was trying to keep my breakfast alone at like 200 to 300 calories max. And now I'm like logging it. I'm like, oh, it's like 700, but you know, I'm getting my macros in, and I still have a certain amount, so I'm not too concerned about it. So yeah, I'd say I'm eating more.
Good. Well, all right. So with resistance training, on the nutrition side of like why you should eat more, how it affects your nutrition, how it affects how hungry you are, it makes you very hungry. So that's not really a problem. Let me ask you this, and also your metabolism. What have you learned mindset-wise from all of this? All of the skill-based training, all of the very technical lifting, and also especially the mobility training. Like, what have you learned? Have you learned any like mindset lessons or anything like towards like, let's like for example like discipline or acceptance, things like that?
No, not really.
No,
I'm just kidding. I've
that's
learned a
what I was
lot.
saying.
I'm
Well,
trying
dang,
to,
right.
yeah, I'm trying to whittle it down into something a little bit more manageable. Oh, that's a really big question. I guess, oh, where to begin? Firstly, I have learned that there are definitely like goalposts along the way, but as far as like health and fitness are concerned, there's no end goal. Does that make sense? It's not like I will wake up in 2 years' time and say, that's it, I hit my goal, I can stop now.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's continuous. But I think that was also very helpful to understand, because if it's continuous, then it means that I tend to be a little bit on the perfectionisty side, or at least I'm recovering from being a perfectionist. And I think that that kind of mindset can be really harmful in this fitness journey, because um, if you think back like a month ago or several weeks ago, we were doing some mobility training and I was getting pissed because my ankles kept caving in and I kept getting, God damn it, why don't my ankles do what I want them to do? And now I tend to think in terms of like, well, because I'm not there yet. Like, it is ongoing. It is a process. I am not perfect yet. Who says that I'll ever be perfect? And I think that's part of the mindset that I am still learning, is you have to be adaptive and understand that you're never getting off of this fitness journey. Or if you do, then, you know, you're going to inflate or something. But because it is ongoing, I think I'm repeating myself now, but because it is ongoing, it means that I don't have to master something right now. And just because I was able to lift this amount of weight yesterday, and what gives? I can't lift it today. It's like, well, yeah, that happens. And there's a host of different factors that go into why maybe you're not lifting the same today as you were yesterday. And it doesn't have anything to do with getting weaker. I mean, maybe, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with that. And I think that's just it, is having a little bit more patience with the journey, especially with myself, and understanding that just because I'm not perfect at something now doesn't mean that I won't be in a month. But it also means that in a month, when I do master something, that's not the end goal. It continues to steamroll onward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I segued into mindset lessons is people don't understand what this journey is whenever they start it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the things that they're going to benefit from. They think it's just going to be I'm going to lose 15 to 30 pounds and my life will be better and I'll be happier because I'm slimmer or more in shape and more attractive. And that's mostly what treat clients come to me with and come to a personal trainer with is that kind of mindset. Like, I want to lose weight, and that will make me happier or healthier, and therefore happier. And what they don't understand is they're starting something with a good trainer. They are starting something that is going to affect every single other aspect of their lives for the rest of their lives, and it's going to change them fundamentally as a person. Like, I never thought that going down this road, I would learn the amount of acceptance that I cannot control everything. That kind of lesson is huge when it comes to somebody who, remember, like when we were trying to do some when we were addressing some ankle mobility and lower body mobility workouts in the beginning, where you weren't getting them at first and you're just like, why isn't this working? I was like, well, honestly, the attempt at this is the best thing for this right now. You're not going to get this in one day. This is not a one day thing. This is going to, because this is one of your problems, this is probably a lifelong issue that you're going to have, which is breaking a pattern that creates it's called overpronation, but your ankle's caving in whenever you put pressure on your ankle, and that's going to affect the rest of your kinetic chain, all the way from your ankles, the bottom of your toes, your knee to your hip, up your spine to the back of your neck. Even the way that you sit, everything is affected by that one thing in your ankle. And that big of a permanence inside your body that has been there for a very long time because of your routine is not going to be fixed in this one session. And I think it took you a few sessions to realize that. And you actually brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But
yep.
Yeah, there's so many life lessons that can be learned from just entering a gym, and without a personal trainer, entering a gym and trying to get good at the skill of lifting. So many benefits. For example, I wish I'm not gonna lie, I already did this, but I wish I had a good trainer back when I was 15. Because when I was 15, that's when I first started. And my dad brought me to the gym. He's like, all right, there you go. So I was like, okay. And so I went straight to the dumbbells like any 15-year-old would. And I'm just like, all right, bicep curls.
Yeah. I was just thinking bicep curls was the only thing that I doing
Yeah. Or,
while looking in the mirror.
Yeah, do some dumbbell press, some bench press. And then I'll go over and I'll just try everything out. And looking back, I had no idea what I was doing. And then the whole like gym bro knowledge that gets passed down from the big man in the gym to the what's it called, dude bros, the future frat boys of America, and then they pass it down to their friends, and then it's just this bro knowledge just going all over the place. And it's like, oh no, you got to lift like this so that you can get the tricep at a certain angle, and they sound convincing. That's where myths and malinformation spreads. Is that somebody that is very good at sales or sounds convincing tells something that they heard because they believe it. They believe in their own perception of what they've been told, and so they're going to spread it. And honestly, that's dangerous, to put it lightly. It's what causes people to not know what they're doing, and also think that they know what they're doing and then get hurt down the road. But yeah, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the mindset lessons that you can get from, and we're honestly, I think this is a whole a whole episode worth of information.
I feel like mindset would be a whole mini series within the podcast. Yeah. Like, I could keep going, you could keep going, we should keep going, but another time.
I do want to give one more example.
Go for it.
The small victories versus final win. So most people come to me and they're like, I want to lose 30 pounds. That's my goal. And I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. Like, honestly, whenever they come to me and they're like, I want to lose 30 pounds, I'm like, all right, we'll see about that. All right, because like we said before, gaining muscle and losing fat, you're not going to lose much weight. The scale itself means nothing. at all whatsoever.
Could I chime in real quick before you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Just the idea of that was also something that I didn't know how to think about it correctly, but I knew that my current thinking was not correct, and it's because when I came to you, I weighed like I was 226, and I'm 6'1". I think I'm 6'2" now. I think I finally, because I used to be
We have
6'2", and I
straightened out your
think
spine a little bit. I think you
yeah,
have gotten a little taller.
cool. But anyway, so let's say that I'm 6'2" and I weighed 226. So
Yep.
whenever I would like talk to people about that, they would generally say, "Oh, well, you're fine. Like that's an appropriate weight for you." And I'm like, I have a double chin. I have love hand. I'm not just like nitpicky about it. Like I have overhang. Like I'm not in good shape. So I think that was something I even came to you about like how much weight do you want to lose? Or I don't think you would have asked me that, but in my mind, I'm thinking, how much weight do I want to lose? And the answer is, I don't know, because I want to build strength. And I understand that if I start to shift my body composition around, my weight's going to do things that I don't know how to anticipate. So I don't know how much weight I want to lose because I don't know what I am like with muscle.
That's
So
actually one of the reasons why I was excited to train you, because like you didn't come to me with a number. You were just like, I want to get in shape. And that's actually a much better goal than I want to lose a specific number of pounds. And anyways, keep going.
no, that was just it. Is that it's what I was thinking of when you were talking about how people come to you and say, "Oh, I want to lose 30 pounds." When myself, I was like, I don't know how much weight I want to lose. I don't have a number in mind because I don't have a specific number, but I do have a specific look. Like, does that make sense? I
Yeah.
maybe not a specific look because I think that gets into aesthetics and that can be a little bit of a slippery slope as well. But I had the kind of activities that I wanted to do. You know, I had like attributes that I wanted to have, like not waking up sounding like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Like I was always crackling every time I would wake up. And I wanted to be able to run around and play with my nephews. And I saw, sorry, mom and dad, I love you, but I saw some of the health things that are happening kind of to my parents as they were approaching their 70s. Like, oh, the shoulder's out. Oh, I need a new hip. Mom doesn't, but she had
Yeah.
a knee replacement. And I'm starting to look at that and go, I need to fix my body because
Hey,
otherwise I'm
real,
going to be an old person saying, oh, I guess this just sucks getting older.
real quick, you mentioned your family. Can you touch a little bit on what you told me before about how your family history with your ankles and knees and like what you've developed since then, knowledge wise?
Yes. Mom and dad, if you ever listen to this, I love you. I'm not trying to be critical of you. I love you. But actually, I'm going to go back to what you were saying
This is
about,
a chance that you can actually educate them with
damn
this.
right I can. Listen up, mom and dad. I'm going to tell you what's what now. But back when you were talking about, like, you wish that you would have had a trainer when you were like 15 because you weren't doing fitness right or you
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
learn how to.
I was not.
When I was 15, I looked at all of the fit people and just assumed, oh, they have better genes. And I guess maybe there are genetic predispositions one way or the other, but I thought that fitness was unavailable to me. I really did.
You're not
I
alone
had
in
been,
that thinking, by the way. A lot of
oh,
people
I
think
know.
are in that trap.
So I guess that's kind of how I was raised. Like I said, I love you, mom and dad. But it was always stuff like, oh, well, in this family, we just got bad joints. It just is what it is. And oh, you got the Gutierrez, you got the Gutierrez knees. You know, your grandpa had a knee replacement. Your grandma had, actually, I think grandpa had double. Your grandma had a knee replacement. Your uncle had a knee replacement. Your aunt had a knee replacement. Your mom had a knee replacement. And I'm like, I don't want one. Can I get out of this line? But the way that I was kind of raised was, no, you can't. It's just your genetics. Duncan, you better give up. I mean, you're never gonna look a certain way. You're never gonna be shaped like a Dorito, like a wannabe. You know, big, bulky, whatever. So I think that's something that I've also had to get over. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've quite gotten over it. There's some days I wake up and I look and I'm like, I'm still jiggly. It's always gonna be this way. And I'm like, wait, Duncan, your gut used to be out to here. Your gut is now over here. Give it about 4 months more and see what happens. Give it a year more. But I think overcoming that bad mindset of I can't do this because I'm genetically predisposed to failing and being fat for the rest of my life and out of shape. Like that was big. Oh, and that my knees are always going to, cave in.
Yeah. You told me that your family walks a certain way, where they're kind of duck-footed and they waddle. And
I love you, mom and dad.
a lot of them do this, and that is a family learned habitual trait, and that will actually cause deformity in the
Mm-hmm.
skeleton posture. So the postural like kinetic chain of your leg is based on how you sit, how you walk, your routine of what muscles do you rely on to actually do a movement multiple times every single day throughout your entire life, and your bones literally turn and shift inside you to accommodate for that routine. And a lot of families, they walk a certain way. I have another client right now. He is in the military, and he is duck footed, like really duck. And it's because of like 5 years of doing the same job over and over again, and he has to like climb a certain thing. Like he's done it for years, and he has learned to be duck footed, and now his hips are so tight that he can't do a squat where he actually literally has to bend over all the way to get into a low squat. And so we're working on that by untightening the inside muscles of his hips. But it's routine. It's a lot of it is routine, and anybody listening that has bad hips, joints, or I'm sorry, hips, knees, ankles, a back pain, neck pain, chronic pain in places that shouldn't be there, and you think that it's just out of the range of possibility that you can get rid of that. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about all the time we have. It's 5:31. I know we had a little bit of trouble in the beginning of this podcast, technically, technology wise, but we will definitely have that fixed by next video. So, like before, I'm gonna do an outro. This is like the second outro I've ever done, so please forgive me. But this is the Buns and Thighs Podcast. It is a personal trainer and company production. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm Duncan.
And podcast out. Bye, everybody. One more thing. You can find all of this information on. I do a lot of blog posts. I do a lot of posts on my Facebook page and the website. We're putting all of our podcasts on YouTube. We're going to be on Spotify. If you search on any of the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, all that, personal trainer and company. And then also the website is personaltrainerandcompany.com, and it has links at the top to all of the socials. So, peace out.